maybe we should try to get some buckets,
I think that's an exceptional idea. Thank you for getting buckets with us. Kyle Crawford, please take it away.
Here we go. Harv, as you know, the World Cup's been going on over the past 9 or 10 days, and there have been some good games. There have been some bad games. The goals are finally starting to show up a little bit, and the refs are getting more and more card happy. As someone that really doesn't know that much about soccer, what is your take on the first few games of the World Cup?
I did notice that people tend to, I was kind of listening to what they were saying on ESPN, that teams tend to just try and get a point out of that first game. So they weren't maybe not playing to win. They were okay with a draw. And so now you get in the second and third games and you started seeing a lot more goals, which, is a lot more exciting. I don't think 7-0 Portugal is necessary, knocking out my Ivory Coast team. So now I have to pick another African nation. I've actually enjoyed the last few games that I've watched because there's been a lot more action, a lot more shots, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, you're going to struggle to find an African nation that's really going to get the job done for you.
I know. Ivory Coast was my best bet.
Ghana
and Cameroon. Those are my next two.
Ghana is sitting at the top of their group right now, so I guess they're the team with the best chance to advance there. But other than that, the majority of teams really aren't eliminated. Cameroon cannot actually get to the next round. But other than that, North Korea can't get to the next round. Honduras can't get to the next round. And outside of that, those are about the only teams, as I look through the list, that are actually eliminated from having a chance to go on. So this next 4 days...
What's South Africa's chances of making the next round?
Well, South Africa's chances, they're playing France. That's actually a really good sign for them. But it's going to be tough for them to move on because if they do beat France, that will put them at 4 points. And let's say Uruguay beats Mexico. That would leave Mexico at 4 points. South Africa has a -3 goal differential, and Mexico has a +2 goal differential. So we would need Uruguay to win by a pretty good margin and South Africa to do the same. And looking at it that way, we're probably not going to see South Africa. They'll probably be the first host nation not to advance out of the group stages.
That's really disappointing to me.
Absolutely. And hopefully with South Africa out there, the fans will still come to the games because a large majority of the fans that are there are South African citizens. So hopefully they'll still make their way out.
When's the next U.S. game, and what's that looking like?
Let's see. The U.S. plays Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. We play at the same time as the other game, the England-Slovenia game. And basically the scenario for the U.S. is if we manage to go out there and get a win, then we're going to advance to the knockout round. It's really as simple as that. Win and we're in. We could also tie, and England and Slovenia could tie, and we would still slide ahead of England. But I personally think England's going to come out and beat Slovenia. I don't think they're going to fold defensively as much as we did against Slovenia in the first half. What were your thoughts on the second half of the last game? Obviously, we started slow in the first half, came on strong in the second half. What were your thoughts mainly on the phantom foul called by the referee?
I'm getting just about tired of, no offense, I love the World Cup. I'm just getting tired of, this has almost nothing to do with it. I'm just getting tired of the flopping that is what is soccer and the fouls and everything like that. Like, you get kicked in the stomach and you grab your shin like you got shot. It just, that kind of bothers me. But the phantom foul really upset me because, that was a great goal. It was a great ball into the box, and then every one of our guys was being just groped and mauled. And then one of them manages to get free and puts one in the back of the net, and there's a foul called, which I don't understand why it was called, but I don't think anyone really does. I guess I was just disappointed that he chose that spot to really put us in a hole on a goal we actually really deserved, as opposed to maybe somewhere else. Do you anticipate any lineup changes for the U.S. roster?
Well, from all I've read and all I can see about the next game, we're really not going to have much of a lineup change. The midfield could see Ricardo Clark step in instead of Torres, who started for us in that second game, and possibly if Bradley decides to move Clint Dipsy up front for Finley, who picked up 2 yellows and can't play this next game. You could see Stuart Holden. You could see him slide in. He's a young guy. From everything I've seen of him, he's creative. He attacks well. He'll hustle about as much as anyone on the field because he feels like he has something to prove. And then Onyewu might get a rest this game because he isn't really in great match shape. He's probably getting a little tired. He's a little responsible for all of our goals. So look for maybe Bocanegra to slide into the middle, or maybe Clarence Goodson off the bench to get a go at it. So we'll see how that looks.
What is your prediction for the game? Do we win?
We do win. I really think we're going to win. I don't think it's going to be a very large margin of victory. I think that we're going to look at 1-0, 2-0, maybe 2-1. But the key really is to get out early. And even if we don't score early, more than anything, don't let them get on the scoreboard and put us in a hole early. Because if they get on the scoreboard, they can just sit back and counterattack. And that's just going to put us in an even bigger hole, just like against Slovenia.
I agree. I'd love to see a 1-0 lead for our team instead of being in a hole. Anything else World Cup?
I don't know. I'm thinking about trying to set up some kind of pool where we take bets on how many times in the Portugal-Brazil game this upcoming week that Cristiano Ronaldo looks like he got shot by a sniper from 4 different directions, all with magic bullets, when he doesn't even get touched. He might be the worst in the tournament about always falling over.
That seems to be a skill that every player has.
And I mean, it really, like, it's really a shame that he is that way because he's so talented. But I guess he became skillful at being able to fall too.
What did you think of Kaká's red card?
Kaká's red card. From all accounts I've heard, Kaká is an incredible guy, and he's like about as nice a guy as you're gonna find on the soccer field. He deserved his first yellow. He was kind of being a little punk, gave the guy a shove. The second yellow that turned it into a red card was an absolute joke. I really feel like the referee just gave him that yellow based off of the guy's reaction from the Ivory Coast, because there's no way the ref could have seen that and been like, oh, I'm going to give him a yellow, because the guy essentially ran into Kaká's arm. And Kaká's elbow hit him in the chest. He fell down looking like Kaká had just burned his face with a flamethrower. And Kaká handled it about as well as he possibly could. He just walked off the field smiling. He didn't argue, even though he knew that he had been wronged, really.
Let's move on to some NBA stuff. We haven't had a podcast. We actually didn't do one podcast during the NBA Finals, and that's because we hated both the teams in it.
That's not true. On the NBA Finals, real quick, I developed a gigantic man team crush on the Celtics.
Shut your mouth. Oh, my gosh.
So, let me explain.
Okay.
Please.
Sorry.
Okay. Kevin Garnett. I've always had a huge thing for the way he plays the game. He plays it with so much passion. He threw the baby powder in the air before LeBron James did, or the chalk, or whatever it is. I use baby powder personally. You've got Kendrick Perkins, who's not afraid to mix it up. You've got Ray Allen, who is one of the best shooters in the game, even though at times he really struggled in the series. You've got Rajon Rondo, who, like him or not, is an incredibly entertaining point guard. Big Baby Davis drooling everywhere. You've got Nate Robinson, your little Energizer bunny. And on top of all that, you have Rasheed Wallace.
Oh, my.
And Rasheed's really the X factor because he took the entire regular season off. He was just like, like if y'all put me in, I'll go stand out there. But then the playoffs came around, and Rasheed was like the old Rasheed. He was playing good defense. He was hitting a clutch three. He was posting up a little bit. And he's got that little bald spot. And that little bald spot gets me every time. So
I found myself, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I found myself I found myself kind of rooting for the Celtics. Only because I wanted to see Nate Robinson get a ring. That's the only reason. I do like Rondo. I like Nate Robinson. Everyone else can go jump off a cliff. I did think KG played really, really well. I thought that they just ran out of gas. They had that 13-point lead in the third, and I just thought they hit the wall and LA came on and took it because, I mean, LA's the better team. I mean, let's kind of be realistic here. If you have Gasol and Kobe and Artest, you should probably be winning series. I just think that the Celtics ran out of gas.
I'm tired of hearing people say that Paul Gasol is not a star.
He is definitely a star.
He is. He might get overshadowed with the Lakers because they don't get him the ball every time down court.
I agree.
But if you put him on any other team, he is the go-to guy. He's gonna average 30 points. He's gonna average a double-double. He is a star. Kobe still has not won a championship without a star on his team.
It's impossible. You can't win a star without another. You can't win without another star on your team. I don't think.
Right.
Who's done it?
I think when Jordan played, Pippen was a star.
Yeah,
he really was.
Definitely.
There's no question about that. No one has done it, and I'm just tired of hearing people say Kobe Bryant won without Shaq on his team. Well, Paul Gasol right now is
better than Shaq.
He's not. Yeah, Paul Gasol is an incredible basketball player. He is very, very talented.
Can we name another big man better than Paul Gasol? I'm having trouble. I can't think of another big man that's as skilled as he is.
David Lee? I mean, there's no other big man. Chris Bosh.
Okay.
The only person you put in the same category as Paul Gasol.
I would agree with that, definitely. He's an elite offensive player, and he gets totally overshadowed on that team because Kobe Bryant's on it. Kobe's got 5, and it's the day he retires I think Kobe's going to go down he's got to go down as one of the greatest to ever play. I don't care who he played with or how he got his rings. If you got 5, you got to go down as one of the greatest to ever play the game.
I mean, I would definitely say, this is just off the top of my head. I haven't sat down and made a list or anything, which is a great idea for a podcast. He's definitely, just off the top of my head, in the top 10 greatest to ever play. And I would probably say top 5.
I did it the other night in the shower. I came up with top 5. And I had Jordan, I had Magic, I had Oscar Robinson, and 4. I wanted to put him at 4, but I didn't know who. I mean, I started giving Bill Russell some run, and he's in the top. He's in my top 5. Well, as soon as he retires, he could retire tomorrow, and I think he's a top 5 great.
Absolutely.
All right, we got the NBA draft coming up this Thursday, 6:30, ESPN. ESPN3.com. So
wait, are we advertising for ESPN now?
We're also advertising for Dasani. They make great water.
That's great because I'm advertising for Nestle Pure Life.
We can't have 2 water sponsors on the same podcast.
And Sonic.
Sonic is always a sponsor welcome here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the lottery pick by pick and maybe assess some needs and see what these teams may do on Thursday. And so Wizards hold the first pick. It's done. John Wall. The most interesting thing that I have on this is that he appears to have chosen Reebok as his shoe provider.
I mean, that's really a shame that
I agree.
That he would go Reebok. There was actually when Grant Hill was with the Pistons and he was healthy, and I think he was with Nike at the time. That deal expired, and he went to get a new shoe contract, and he went with Fila. And that is actually a large portion of the reason that people say he started to hurt his ankles is because they weren't making a quality shoe. And I just hope Reebok isn't the demise of John Wall's career like Fila was for Grant Hill.
I watched part of the open media workout that he had, and it's really hard to gauge stuff like that. I mean, you're dribbling around a cone. It's kind of hard to assess, and he's much more impressive 5-on-5. But I think he did everything they want him to. He is freakishly athletic for his position as a point guard. At one point, did windmills from both sides on the fast break. He's got some hop. The Reebok thing, they appear to be, I think they're going to launch, I guess, a new kind of campaign. You've seen them with the Zig Tech. They got Ocho Cinco and all that. This basketball shoe was like a Zig Tech kind of design. And it's weird looking. It's kind of, it looked like a Zig Tech shoe, but it appears he's gone with Reebok, and that's disappointing to me. But I'm sure they paid him handsomely.
Quick question on John Wall.
Yeah.
How do you see him stacking up against the rookie years of Derrick Rose and Tyreek Evans? Because He is coming from Calipari. He is leaving school early. He is a similar player.
He's kind of in between both of those. Tyreek's more of a scorer. Derek was more of a kind of a slash assist dish it guy. He's kind of in between that. I don't know. I love his game. I'll tell you that. I think he's going to be great. He's got the tools needed. He's a smart kid. I don't know maybe how his rookie season is going to end up. I mean, it's hard to project. He's going to be on the Wizards, and I'm not exactly sure what the rest of their roster is going to look like. Probably be 15 and 6, 15 and 7. I don't know if he'll put up 20 because he's going to have Gilbert on the floor with him.
Do you think looking back at this draft in 10 years that we're going to think that John Wall is the right pick to go with at number 1?
That's hard to say. I think if you look back in 10 years, you're going to see that if you went with anyone else, you'll be ridiculed beyond belief. I don't think that there's going to be... I think it's the right pick for them just because of if they pick anyone else, that'll set off a tirade for their fans. I really think that they have no other option. They can say that they're still evaluating talent all they want, but since the lottery was won, it's been known John Wall is going to be the first pick. I do think there's going to be some really great pros in this draft, and we're going to go over those in a minute. I just think the ceiling for John Wall is it's so high. I just don't think you can pass on that opportunity, especially with the first pick.
Fair enough. I also, obviously there's no debate here on whether he will be the first pick or not. He is the first pick.
I wrote duh next to, on my notes, I wrote duh. That's all I wrote. And then we ended up having a 5-minute conversation about it. Second pick has kind of gotten a little run here. We got the 76ers. What do you see? What do they need in your mind?
In my mind, they don't need Evan Turner. They need, I'm looking right now. Evan Turner is a 6'7" shooting guard.
I agree.
And
100.
Andre Iguodala, their best player at this moment in time, is a 6'6" shooting guard. You're essentially drafting the same guy. How are they going to fit those two guys on the court together?
That's exactly my point. I have Derek Favors as their pick just in my little thing. I just think they don't need Evan Turner. I don't want to say he's exactly like Iguodala. I think he has much more upside than Andre Iguodala, but he's exactly like Iguodala. You can't have both of them on the floor at the same time. Favors is a much smarter pick for them. And I think the ceiling on Favors is really high. I love Favors' game. In the spots that I saw, I like what he's got.
I think maybe that the Sixers could be playing we're going to take Evan Turner card in hopes that someone is like, we really want Evan Turner. We're going to try to get up there to get him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Everyone, from everything I'm reading, they're going to take Evan Turner, and I think Favors is the right pick for them right here.
I'm sure we were reading the same stuff. I read that GM wants Turner and that Doug Collins, their new head coach, wants Favors. And I don't know who's going to get their wish right there. I just think Favors is the smarter pick, or anyone but Evan Turner, to be completely honest. They just need another big. They just dumped Dallenberg. I think they need another, project or something. They need something to replace those rebounds.
Yeah, Elton Brand's really just not going to get the job done.
If we ever do that podcast about contracts, he'll definitely make an appearance. That puts the Nets at 3. Since obviously I took Favors at 2, I would say the Nets would love for Turner to fall to them right here.
I think the Nets are praying that Turner falls to him. I feel like he would fit in. I just feel like he would be a better fit for the Nets at this time than Favors would be.
I agree. They need that scoring guard. Not that I don't believe in Courtney Lee's game. I just think Courtney Lee's probably better suited to come off the bench as a 6-man or something like that. And you could insert Evan Turner into that starting lineup immediately. You would still be a lottery team next year. You could get another high pick. I think they're set. If they get Evan Turner, they're set for a good core. I'm not sure it's going to be 5 years like their GM wants before they win a title, but I think they got a good core if they get Turner going.
If they grab Turner and a free agent from whoever that may be, they could be a team that could make a run in the playoffs. next year. I don't know that they'll have the best regular season because of depth, but once you get to the playoffs, they could surprise somebody in the first round maybe.
I guess it's not an argument. My only thing against that is I think they want to kind of do it slowly, and I think they want to do it through the draft. I think that I mean, I don't argue. I think they're going to go. They have to. They have to go get a free agent because they got all the money. They have to go get somebody. But I think, say he gets hurt, I think they'll shut him down and play for that pick next year and rebuild it and maybe go after it in 2 years really hard. As I say, go get 2 free agents now and try and maybe make your push. And once you make your playoff push, you're out of the lottery and it's hard to get back in.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have that certain window, and the Wizards have lucked out with that number 1 pick. Moving to 4, T-Wolves. I want to say they'll draft a point guard, but they drafted 3 last year.
Which means they'll probably draft a point guard.
Everything I read says that they're really high on Wesley Johnson. That's exactly what they need. They need some scoring help badly, and his athleticism and the way he can shoot it, it'll fit right in with what they need because they have almost nothing as far as scoring right now.
I agree that Wesley Johnson is the way they need to go, but I'm not sure how good I think Wesley Johnson is actually going to be in the future. I think there's guys that are going to go after him, DeMarcus Cousins, for one, that's going to end up being a better player in the future. It's just not what the Timberwolves need. The only thing that makes sense for them at 4 is Wesley Johnson.
Right. I would totally agree with that. I think that there's much more upside in some of these picks that are later, but that's not what they need. They just drafted Kevin Love, and they got plenty of bigs. They got point guards out the butthole. I just think that they need a scorer. And if Turner falls to 4, they would rejoice. I don't see that there's any way that he falls to 4, but if for some reason he did, they would be jumping up and down for that.
Is there any way that the Timberwolves trade up to 2?
They do have a few picks in the first round. I'm just not sure if they got the package to make it happen.
From some of the things that I've read, I've seen where if the Sixers were to trade the second pick, that the Timberwolves are one of the leading contenders to be who they trade that to. So I guess that's something to look out for, because honestly, the Timberwolves' best pick in this draft for who they are is Evan Turner.
I agree. So that would slot the 76ers at 4. They could probably still get Favors or Cousins, which they need. I mean, that would work out for them, but do the T-Wolves have all the pieces that they need to make that happen?
I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, I don't have any added insight into that. 5th pick, Sacramento. They have a massive gap at the 3 after they traded for Dallenberg. They traded Nocioni and Spencer Hawes, and so they have no 3. But I don't see them getting creative. I mean, from what I got, there's no real... Gordon Hayward's a huge reach at 5. They're not going to go with Paul George or Babbitt. They really only have one option, and it's to go with a big guy. And a few names that I got is... I mean, they can go with Cousins or they can go with Greg Monroe. And I've read that they were impressed with both. I have Monroe here just because I think it's just about fit. I have Monroe as a better fit for them because they just got Dallenberg, and you wouldn't trade for someone as a starting center, I guess, unless you were going to start him. And so you would put Monroe at that 4 spot rather than draft Cousins and have him at the 5.
From everything that I've read recently, I've heard that they're becoming higher and higher on Cousins, and that they like Cousins more and more. Every time they see him work out or they talk to him or anything. But at the same time, I want them to take Monroe simply where we can get DeMarcus Cousins on the Warriors.
I agree. Well, the Warriors do have the next pick, and I did put Cousins there. And, man, the Warriors would be so happy to see him drop to 6. I'm not sure how likely that is because I've read a ton of stuff that says the Pistons really want him, and they got the 7th. They're right after the Warriors, and so apparently the Pistons are trying to get in front of the Warriors, they want Cousins really bad because Ben Wallace he's on his last leg, and they have no center after him, so they really want Cousins to solidify the middle and draft a big. So I think the Warriors, if Cousins is there, I think he's the choice because they don't need any point guard or shooting guard. I don't think they need a small forward either. They need some talent, consistent talent at the 4 or 5 spot. So I could see them going with Cousins or Monroe, whoever's on the board here.
There's really nothing else to say on that because it's kind of clear cut that that's what's going to happen unless someone manages to shake it up with a trade offer, which...
Yeah, I mean, trades, everything we just said, trades are going to ruin just about all of it. Because, like, the Pistons, if they traded up, then that would change the Warriors pick. It would change the Kings pick. It would ruin everything I have written down. So I got the Pistons at 7. I don't know. What do you think the Pistons need?
What do the Pistons have is a better question.
Ben Gordon? Rodney Stuckey? I mean, I don't even know if these are even... They have a terrible roster as far as contracts go. They are in a bind.
They really...
What they're paying for is not what they're getting. They're screwed for pretty much a long time. I just don't know what the piece is for them to rebuild. And at 7, they really didn't get a great help on the draw.
I don't see anyone that's going to help improve them even within the next couple of years. They're kind of in a bad spot because they need everything. They need someone that is going to come in and be essentially a go-to guy. And at 7 in this draft, you're not finding that at all.
No. I think this draft is deep on bigs. I just don't think they need so much help. And they screwed themselves last offseason with this Villanueva and Ben Gordon signings. I think they're going to be bad for the next lot of years. So I put Ed Davis because I couldn't find a better player on the board for them. They need help everywhere, so I guess we really couldn't go wrong with this pick.
I mean, I would say, I don't even know how to say the guy's name correctly, Aminu.
Wake Forest?
Yeah, out of Wake Forest. He's a year younger, big upside, but at the same time, he could be a huge bust. He could be the next Tashim Thabit, for all I know. There's no guarantee that he's going to come in and make a difference ever. So
right. And that's what you're looking for in the lottery. You're looking for someone that can come in and help your franchise right away and preferably be a starter. I mean, if you have the luxury like Oklahoma City did with James Harden, he doesn't have to start. But you're essentially looking for a starter in this top 10, 14 picks. And I just don't think that... I don't think after 6 that you really have a lot of starters.
Especially, you definitely don't really have many starters that are gonna start to impact on the offensive end of the floor.
Yes, I think there's a lot of talent here, and there's a lot of upside. I'm just not sure how. Like, okay, we got 8. The Clippers are picking at 8, and they have one blaring need, and that is the 3, which they're going to try and lure LeBron to LA. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but they're a nice 3-man away from being, I would say, really, really good. Because we can't forget the last year's number 1 pick, Blake Griffin, didn't play last year. They got Baron Davis, they got Eric Gordon, they got Chris Kaman, they got Blake Griffin. They're a 3-man away from being a nice core. And
we're assuming that they can stay healthy throughout a season and that they can keep Baron Davis locked in for a full season.
If you can keep his attention span for a full season, you're a 3-man away from being a playoff team.
Right.
Probably a pretty good
really,
playoff team.
I could see them. I really think the Clippers are going to end up drafting a white guy.
That's weird because I put a white guy at their pick. I put Gordon Hayward there.
Okay, definitely see Hayward there. I mean, really the only other option at a 3 is if you went with maybe Luke Babbitt.
Yeah, I had him at 9. I had him in the next pick.
But I feel like Hayward would fit right in with the Clippers. I feel like he's what they need. Either way, it's a risk. For an 8th pick, it's a risk, but there could be a high reward. So it's going to end up looking back and seeing what's going on there.
Like I said, I got Babbitt at 9 to the Jazz. That team could be totally different by the time. I mean, they have to draft without knowing what Boozer is going to do.
I think that looking at that, I think Boozer's probably going to be gone.
And if you take that mindset, then they would obviously probably want to go with a big, like maybe a Patrick Patterson or someone like that. But if their roster is intact as it is, I think I could see Luke Babbitt fitting there pretty well. I mean, I'm not sure he's got a huge ceiling. I just think he's a good shooter, and he's in that Jazz mold that they like to have.
Right. I think Kyle Korver is a free agent too. you've got to think that they know they're going to lose one of those two guys. They're going to lose Corver or they're going to lose Boozer. They might lose both, for all I know. But if they're going to lose Corver, I think the right pick is Luke Babbitt. But if they're going to lose Boozer, I've got a potential maybe Ed Davis, maybe Patrick Patterson, someone that I obviously want to see get picked, and that I'm tired of hearing about how his age is a huge issue is Epe Udo, who went to Baylor. I don't think Epe's been that impressive in workouts. He's someone that if I watched him play a basketball game, I wouldn't think he would be impressive in workouts. He just gets the job done. And I think that's what you need. You don't need someone that's going to be able to be good when there's no one else in the gym. You need someone that is going to come in and impact a basketball game.
I agree. Yeah, I have read a lot of those state reports that aren't high on Epe, and I like him a lot. I think he brings an added dimension to the game that not a lot of people do. He does the stuff that it's hard to find, whether it's blocks or just defensive presence or getting on the floor and things like that. Pacers. I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about the Pacers because they're so boring to watch.
They've got some bad contracts, I'm pretty sure.
I know that they drafted Hansborough last year, and I have no idea why. Not that he's not a great college player. I think the Pacers they're not built for success within the next 10 years. I just don't think they have the pieces for it. And it's not an attractive market to lure a free agent or anything like that. With that, they could go a number of directions: power forward, guard, small forward. I did read that they're really high on Ed Davis. So if he slips there, if he slips to 10, I would expect Davis to go off the board to the Pacers. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Pacers? Do you see any success in the next 5 years for them?
No, I think the Pacers and the Pistons are in very similar positions, but for somewhat different reasons. I think the Pistons are in the position of we're going to be bad for a while because they put two huge contracts on two guys that didn't need those huge contracts. When you think of the Pacers, you don't think of anybody.
That's exactly what I thought.
And their player is Danny Granger. He's their player because he's a volume shooter. If I go out in an NBA game and shoot 30 times a game, I'm going to score a little bit at least.
Yeah, you'll probably get some buckets.
Yeah, I'll get a couple buckets. So the Pacers are just in a bad spot, and I think they'll go power forward. I see where they're high on Ed Davis, and I honestly think if they do miss out on Ed Davis, that they are probably going to go possibly with Epe. I bring him up again, but I think it's because earlier in the draft process, before they got this high on Davis, I think Epe was their guy. And, really, that's not – I don't want to see Epe go to Indiana. I really don't.
I don't want to see anybody go there.
Yeah, that's just a shame.
It's a shame that they're a franchise that's so bad after they had those years with Reggie Miller. And as soon as I can't remember a good year they've had after he left.
The last time I remember the Pacers was when Tayshaun Prince was chasing down Reggie to block that layup.
The last time I remember the Pacers is when Ron Artest went into the stands.
That's a good point. But yeah, they're going to go power forward.
Yeah. 11, the Hornets, they don't need a point guard. Let's put it that way. They got two pretty good ones. They could use a shooting guard if they wanted to go with someone like Xavier Henry. It might be a little early for him, but I could also see them going with a big man. Their big mans have good name recognition. Okafor, and now I'm blanking on the second name.
I really couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but
hold on.
While you check that out,
yeah, I'll pull it.
I've heard a lot of things about Cole Aldrich in this slot.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of really he doesn't seem to be a guy that would fit in with a Chris Paul. Cole Aldrich, I really don't think he deserves to be a lottery pick.
He's going to be, though. I agree with that statement, and I wrote him down at this pick just because he's going to be, because a ton of teams want big guys, and he's the next big guy after Cousins. He's the next center off the board. And the other power forward, David West. So they have good name recognition on the Hornets. They're just small. Okafor's not really a real, I guess, I wouldn't call him a real center. I would call him more of a power forward. But Aldrich is
I just don't think he's ever going to really amount to
Oh,
anything good.
I agree. I don't. I think he. I would put Aldrich more in the like 20s if I really could, but someone's going to take a chance on him because they need a big man.
I mean, I see him averaging like
That's
8 points, eight
that's
rebounds.
pretty generous. I'm not even that
I
high
mean,
on him.
I mean, I'm talking when I say 8 and 8, I'm talking in his best years. I'm not talking
Okay.
next year.
Okay.
I'm talking in his best year. I see him averaging 8 and 8. And why do you want a guy that's going to average 8 and 8? Why do you want to know that a guy is not going to be a superstar? And why are you taking him in the lottery? I would rather you just take a chance on someone, get someone that's going to fit in better with Chris Paul.
I want him to follow the Rockets, but I think Xavier Henry wouldn't be a bad choice for the Hornets.
And at the same time, we don't know. We have no idea what the Hornets are actually doing.
No.
I don't see Chris Paul being there much longer.
As soon as he can get out, I think he's gone. I just think it's.
I could even see them trading Chris Paul because Darren Collison came on so strong this past year when Paul was hurt. I'm not saying that Darren Collison is anywhere near as good as Chris Paul because he's not. I think when healthy, Chris Paul is the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, it's incredible how he's pretty much sat out this season due to injury, and now he's not even in the I mean, he's in the conversation, I guess, but how Darren Williams is suddenly the best point guard, and Rajon Rondo is like second, and everyone's forgetting about Chris Paul and the amazing point guard that he is. Chris Paul is the best point guard in the league. He just wasn't healthy last year.
I mean, if there's actually I was reading John Hollinger is the writer for ESPN, and there was like a full article, and basically Chris Paul adds out of the point guard position. Chris Paul adds the most wins to any team out of the point guard position, more than Steve Nash, more than Rondo, more than Darren Williams, more than any of those guys. He adds more wins above like the next replacement player than any of those other guys. So
the Grizzlies have the 12th pick, and I really don't think they can go wrong with that pick.
This pick, as I look at it, is one of the most boring picks in the draft to me. Because I feel like the Grizzlies are always going to be the Grizzlies. The next thing you know, they're going to grab their best player and sell him for cheap to the Lakers where they can win some more championships.
See, I like the Grizzlies. I really do. I think I don't know if they can. If they can retain Rudy Gay, they could be pretty good. If they get OJ Mayo and Conley and they got Zach Randolph working, Marc Gasol came on so strong. I don't know what they need. I just think maybe they need more. They need to keep Rudy Gay and hope that they can get better as a team. I don't know what need they need to address in the draft. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded it.
It's spot 12. I think just about the best thing they could possibly do is trade the 12th pick of the 2010 NBA draft to the Lakers for Luke Walton and Adam Morrison. I mean, I just had to say Luke Walton. I really don't know what they're going to do with 12. Right now, I'm sitting here reading that they'll take Patrick Patterson, but I'm also sitting here reading that Patrick Patterson's previous position was number 22 to Portland. That's where they had him the week before the mock draft I'm looking at right now. I don't even think the Grizzlies know what they're doing with pick 12.
I don't think they need to know. I think as long as they trade it, they'll be okay.
Absolutely. I think the smartest thing they could do is just get rid of that pick.
The Raptors. Oh, my. That team is going to suck for a while, too. They're trying to trade Calderon. I'm all convinced Bosch is gone just because the amount of love he'll get somewhere else. He can say he loves Toronto, but he'll get plenty of love elsewhere. Turkoglu wants out after signing his massive deal. That team's in disarray. They need help just about everywhere.
They can't go. They're another team that really can't go wrong with their pick because there's no stars right here, but there's no terrible players that you're like, they don't have an upside. I could see him taking Xavier Henry.
I could too. I can also see him taking Bradley, Avery Bradley from Texas. Side note on him, I love his tenacity. He will get after people on defense, but I mean, is that what they need? I don't know. This is so hard to, I guess, project. Even not even from our point, from like a GM standpoint, when you don't know what your roster is going to look like a month from now. it's hard to draft before, I guess, the free agent period. Because I guess for all purposes, you got to assume Bosch is gone. I mean, you have to. I think there's a 0% chance he stays in Toronto.
I mean, I agree with that. And when he's gone, your massive deal to Turkoglu, if you can't get rid of him, is for nothing.
Yep.
Because he's not really that good.
He was a system guy anyway. He was better fit in Orlando. He took the money at Toronto, and I want to say he got what he deserved. He's not as good as his contract that he signed, but all the power to him.
Both parties got what they deserved. They really.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say that from being a Big 12 basketball fan, in a head-to-head comparison of Avery Bradley and Xavier Henry, I would take Henry every time. Avery Bradley does play hard, and I would never take that away from him. But he didn't impress me that much.
Okay, that's fine. Then the Rockets round out the lottery at 14, and everything I read out of every report in Houston says that they're looking to take the best guy, regardless of their pick, and where it is. And the Daryl Morey said that there's a 50% chance that they'll stay at 14, whether that moves up or down via trade. But I think regardless of where they pick, that they're set up pretty well for next year. I think the Rockets could be really dirty next year if Yao comes back healthy, as he could be.
I'm looking at an ESPN Insider right now, and for the past 2 weeks, they've had Epe slotted to go to the Rockets. I don't know how you feel about that. I feel good about it just because he's within distance for me to go watch. The only other team I'd really rather see him with is the Thunder, but I don't want him to drop to a spot where the Thunder could get him.
Right.
I think Epe would be a good fit with the Rockets. He wouldn't have to come in and play huge minutes, but he would come in and be a good defensive presence. And he's a high character guy. He's not going to get in any trouble. He's going to be the guy that they send to the NBA Cares fundraisers.
I think whoever they draft here, it's looking all the more likely like he's going to get limited minutes, and he's going to have to prove himself to get those minutes, and he may not get it. The Rockets are, at the moment, they're stacked at 4 and 5. They have a ton of bodies. They're going to have to cut someone or trade someone. So, I mean, I would love Epe to be a Rocket. I'm just maybe not. I mean, not from the standpoint of, man, I really want Epe on the team because of what he can bring for next year. Because I don't think he adds that much for next year. I think he's a good long-term piece for that team. I just think that with Brooks, Kevin Martin, Trevor Ariza, Scola, Yao, Jordan Hill, you can add Epe in there. That team is loaded for a run next year. And that's all contingent on one thing, and that's if Yao is healthy. And if he's not healthy, they're going to be in the same boat that they were this year.
The Rockets season hinges on Yao being healthy, and who knows if he will be or not, because he's become so injury prone.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see him be healthy, just because the Rockets are another team that could beat the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously really biased because I live so close to Houston, but I love their chances if he is healthy. I think they have a good roster that can beat LA. They match up pretty well. They have good defenders that can. I mean, no one stops Kobe, but they can slow Kobe down. They have an incredible point guard matchup. Brooks can go right by Fisher, and they proved that in last year's playoffs. If you made it this far, we love you so much.
Seppi, I know you're listening on 2 times speed right now. You're the man. I'm going to make a couple quick notes real quick.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, so Tuesday at 9, maybe 8, I'm not exactly sure. The new ESPN 30 for 30 is going to be released, and this is the tale of the 2 Escobars, and it's about a guy that scored an own goal for the Colombian national team against the United States, actually, in the 1990 World Cup, I want to say, and went back to Colombia and was shot and killed. because he scored this own goal against us. And the other note is United States play Wednesday at 9. Wake up.
On
cheer
ESPN.
for 'em. Or ESPN3.com.
I've noticed we pimp ESPN pretty well. We need to get something out of that.
We really do. Maybe like a T-shirt. I don't know. It's whatever at this point.
I would take some socks.
I would take an ESPN commercial appearance. Hang on. Follow me on Twitter. Twitter name Kyle Crawford. All one word. I'm the greatest insight to the World Cup that you could possibly have. So get at me.
He is. He's my only insight to the World Cup. Get at him. I don't have a Twitter. Love you. Bye, guys.
Give buckets.